What's going on, boys and squirrels? So today we've got an HS4 carburetor. It's an SU carburetor. We've got it on the stock manifold for what would be a Stromberg carburetor. And basically, it's pretty dirty, you know, it's aluminum, whatnot. Somebody kind of plugged that up somehow. I don't know, we're going to clean that up in a sec. But basically I'm going to experiment and just clean this up a little bit. You know, these are going to have to be like wire brushed all the way down. These are like just coolant hoses going in. And so this doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit like kind of polished, not really. I just used spray wax on it and I sanded it down a little bit. We're going to sand it down a little bit more. And we're going to polish down a buffer wheel right over there. And we'll see how it turns out, because that's the part that everybody looks at on these SU carburetors anyway. That looks pretty. And I've got a little cover for this, but I'm gonna have to sand that all down and paint it up. What I would really like, which would look really cool, is to have a ram intake, so just like a big pipe with like a flare at the end, because that looks super cool on this. And this is gonna go into that red Spitfire up north, and hopefully we can get it running. But yeah, so the carburetor has been taken apart and cleaned up internally, but we're gonna take apart some of the outside pieces and just clean them up a little bit, you know, make them look pretty. I know what you're thinking, why are you gonna put some pretty stuff on such a crappy car? Cause I don't know, I don't have a job right now, so I got nothing else to do. So we can start by taking out this carburetor. It's just held on by 2 bolts roughly, or loosely. Looks okay. We'll tackle this piece first, but let's go ahead and put the manifold down. And inside you're gonna have a springy boy. Have your little float. Not a float, sorry. This is we put the oil. I forget what this is called. Your piston inside here with the needle. Place that aside for now. So we'll take some 2000 grit and we'll just sand this around roughly, just so that we get this to be a little bit shiny and clean. Okay, so that's how that looks. We're going to give her a little bit of a polish on the wheel, and what I'm going to use, I don't know if this is a good idea, but I'm going to use this stuff, Mother's Mag and Aluminum Polish. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to stick my finger in here, dirty finger, yes, and just wipe the whole thing down like that in one spot. Then I'm going to move on over to the polish wheel. Just going to spin it around slowly and put some of this polish on it. And let's go and turn her on and see what she does. Now I kind of polished it a bit. We'll go over a lot more of the areas and try to see if we can get a nice finish out of this thing. Now the wheel is kind of falling apart. I don't know why, but that's okay. Okay, so that's that all kind of polished up. It looks half decent. We can go around a little bit more with a little bit more polish, just to try to get a lot of these areas that kind of look a little bit light. But it already looks a lot better. And we're going to try this with the actual manifold. I don't know how that'll work out, but we'll give her a shot. So now back over the carburetor, we can go ahead and start removing things like the float bowl. Or actually we will remove the bolt where the fuel from the float bowl will go into the jet of the carburetor. Now there's a little O-ring on the top. We'll be very delicate with that. And we can go ahead and polish this off after giving it a little bit of a sanding. Okay, and while we're here, and this is all exposed, we can go ahead and sand down this inside piece where it would be normally hard to get to sand down. Now you don't need to go too crazy with this. I'm just doing this on the spots where I can basically get to right now without disassembling the whole carburetor. Of course, most people are probably going to want to take everything apart and clean it up individually like that, but this is just the easiest way for me to do it. I've already gone through most of the areas with like a little tiny wire brush and clean things up, but this is what it's basically what we're trying to do today, is just clean the biggest areas that you can see. So we're going to clean this flat surface here, a little bit of the tops of these things, and then basically just all the flat surfaces. We might go in and do a little bit of the levers, but that's okay. And this will have to be removed so that the carburetor can actually function, the throttle can function on it when it's on the car, because this touches the stock manifold. So you want to be careful to not sand down the top of this, just because there's some numbers engraved on there, and they're super kind of tiny basically, so you don't want to mess that up. So we're just going to go around that, but you can still sand down a lot of this where there aren't any numbers or markings on it. Now, just to make things easier for us, we're going to remove this right now because we don't really need it here. And 11:30 seconds on one, which is kind of awkward to get to. So I guess the easiest way for me to get to this would be to remove the float bowl cap. Mine's kind of got a whole bunch of nonsense going on with this. So for instance, it's got a Robertson head screw holding one down, and then it's going to be flat heads for the other three, or the other two, I'm sorry. And there is your float, and there is a gasket on this, so keep that in mind. You want to replace that. I'm not gonna. So just move your float bowl to the side, and you now have a lot more access to this bolt here. Now I'm almost worried I might actually have to take off this float whole bowl just to get access to this, just to pull this off completely. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to. Okay, so now that is gonna be this guy right here, and it looks to me like that is a 7/16. And simple as that. Now that's removed. You can go ahead and tighten this back up again, unless you want to clean it up a bit, which we're here anyway, so let's do that. We've got it off. Now the bolt can stay on this. Put this aside, and now we have better access to this. So, get our sandpaper. Let's give this boy a thick amount. Yeah, we'll just lather up in there. And already that's a lot shinier than the other side. You can clearly see the difference. There is going to be a little bit of like a dark discoloration. I don't know if I'm burning it or what, but yeah, I don't know, the wheel's a little bit dark. I've never polished before, but huh. So basically this is the carburetor now. It looks very pretty. You see the little float bowl inside, or the little piston. As the engine builds vacuum, it kind of lifts that up. It allows the needle to lift up to allow more fuel from the jet to come out. But it doesn't look that bad. Again, you only really have those two really polished parts, but everything else is sort of clean enough, I guess. But you can go ahead and take these off individually and clean them up, polish them. That'll make it look a lot cooler too, but this is good enough for what I need it to do. So the next piece is, of course, this big intake manifold. What I'm going to do is lightly wire brush everything off on the aluminum part. I'm going to have to clean this up with a razor here. And I'm going to go with a rough wire brush on all of these sections here. But I do believe that I'm going to have to eventually grind these down just to get them to be where we need them to be. And then we'll run this to the polisher. But I'm not sure if this has paint on it. I really hope not. But it almost looks like a paint. It doesn't look like normal oxidization and whatnot. But we'll see. If it is paint, then I guess I'm just going to have to spray over it again. But let's see what happens. So it seems the only actual way I can polish this is just roughly cleaning it by hand, or I can paint it. I don't really want to paint it, but it doesn't look too bad as it is. It's just these little fasteners and whatnot have to be cleaned up more, just on a bench grinder. And then same with these. Actually, there's a lot of junk inside them, as you guys saw, but I'll just grind these all down nice, and I'll just sit the carburetor on it for now, and we'll see what it looks like. So you can get an idea of how this is going to look kind of on the car. So you'll have the shiny boys up at the top, and then you look down and you'll see a nice little exhaust there. I do kind of want to get little ram pipes for this, but I might just make some custom ones. But essentially what that's going to be is a flat plate on this with a hole on right here and here for it to bolt onto, and a pipe kind of like this right out the center, with obviously this opened up on the top, and it's kind of gonna just, I don't know, bevel out or whatever, just like that. But again, it'll be nice and chrome, and from the side it'll just look super cool. But also there's no filtration on that, so when I'm going crazy on the track, I will have this boy over. Oh, let's not break that. It's for an airbrush kit. So normally, I guess you can kind of see how this is going to bolt up. This will go right on top of that in its place, and then nice made in England filter. Kind of overdue for a change. And then this boy goes on top, just like something like that. And then you've got these boys to go in there just to hold her down. But obviously I have to clean this whole thing up to make it look pretty. That's what I was talking about, not too special. It'll just be grinding it down and painting it black. Paint it black, put it back. That's how we restore cars. Anyway, that'll be the air cleaner system on this, because I don't want to put $100 air cleaners like I have on this boy under here. Anyway, take care, comb your hair.